Hello, everyone. Mason here to talk to you about the stress diet assignment for fall 2020 that we'll be assigning this week on Wednesday. We'll talk about due dates in a little bit. For those of you wondering what the stress diet assignment is, it sort of builds off of one of our previous lectures, the eating psychology lectures, wherein we talked briefly about how during stressful times your body responds differently and inevitably your eating habits will change as well. So we want this to be a pretty introspective activity wherein you look for a week at how your diet changes during a week that is particularly stressful. So I'll walk you through the rubric right now, and hopefully if you have any questions, you can come to office hours later. But basically, we want you to choose an upcoming week that's particularly stressful, that say has a midterm due, a paper due, or some major assignments. We realize that this semester is particularly stressful, so we also understand that if you have some stuff going on that you consider stressful, that probably also works. If you have any questions, once again, come to office hours. But basically what we expect you to do is fill out a tracking section. You can find this on B courses. And we want you to fill all these sections out as accurately as possible, including the water consumed, and clearly mark which day you had a midterm / project, etc. So if I can show you all right now, let's see. Oops. This is the stress diet assignment or the audit. It should be a files already published. But basically, we want you to list what day, like the date you're tracking, right? Go through like what you're buying for groceries that week, what you're trying to work on that week, like what assignments you have. Like if you're just trying to survive, you can also put that. But basically, we want you to fill out what you ate that day, how many calories that was, and then what the total calories you ate were, what the target calories were. So we'll talk about that in a bit, but this goes back to our lecture 2 for the estimated energy requirement for your body based on your activity levels, height, etc. And track that difference, how you felt that day, both in, like as this, let's say 1 is the worst, 10 is the best, and did you exercise that day? So it'll be interesting to see how all these compare as you go into your stressful week, and then on that specific stressful day, right? Like how does your eating habits change? So we want you to do that for 7 days straight. You can start it whenever. Just make sure you have 7 consecutive days with at least one stressful assignment in those 7 days. There's a lot of leniency here, but we really want you to make sure you fill out all these aspects, especially water, because people forget that. And with that, don't fill out these reflection questions or the space of infinite possibility on this particular document. So what we'll have you do is actually let's go into back to the assignment itself. But so that's the first part, right? Second part would be the reflection questions on a separate page. So we'll have you, what may be best is typing it all in a Word document and then converting it to PDF and then combining PDFs and submitting with the tracker in the beginning. But in this reflection questions worth 15 points on a separate page, we want you to talk a little bit about how you felt this week overall and why, looking back at the week once you've completed it, of course. And also, that's one paragraph. And then another 3 paragraphs are what improvements you could have and why. So, for example, if you found that you ate a lot of junk food in order to cope with stress, then that could be one paragraph, right? You say you want to eat less, and this is why. But there's a lot of other great options that you can write about. And really, this is a great time to be introspective and grow from this experience. Then after you type those 4 paragraphs total, we want you to go into the space of infinite possibility. So once again, not on that original tracker PDF, but rather on a separate page. This would be a short reflective essay of 2 to 3 paragraphs on what did you learn about your eating habits? What do you think caused said eating habits? And overall, your thoughts on why you may or may not see it as an issue, right? So, I feel like my eating habits have changed a lot throughout college, just based on how I best cope with, stressful assignments and stuff. So this is like great time to reflect on that. Once again, very lenient, but we want to see that you've been reflective on the experience and taken a lot away from tracking how you eat and stuff. Whew. So yes, once again, given the length of responses, please answer on a separate page and combine the responses with the tracking section and submit as a PDF digitally. If you need help, office hours. Cool. When is it due? It's assigned this week on October 28th. If you're watching it, you've probably seen that it's been published already. If not, once again, message us. And it'll be due by midnight on November 18th. So this gives you 3 weeks to do it. Once again, the best way to do this, as we'll get in the next slide, is to plan ahead. So you do not want to do this backwards because you're going to forget all the things you've eaten in the past, but rather choose a specific week you're going to start, then go day by day. You take like 15 minutes to fill out that respective day and then keep going. Anyway, so if you need an extension or have any concerns with your ability to complete the assignment, please email our email at least 24 hours before the assignment's due. The earlier the better, so we can help you figure things out. We chose this 3-week window because we felt that there would be a lot of stressful assignments due, but sometimes that doesn't work for everyone. So we just want to make sure that we're accommodating. And once again, please let us know if you have any emergencies within those 24 hours, or if you have DSP accommodations ahead of time so we can help you out to the best of our ability. So some tips for this assignment: if you've watched this far in the video, start early. That's true for everything, but choose a week ahead of time and track each day as you go. We really, really, really do not want you to go backwards and try to figure this out for a stressful assignment. Once again, we want you to track the dates of each day that you're writing this. So if you write it from before we assign this, we'll know. But it makes it a lot easier and it makes it a lot more meaningful if you track each day. And then once you're done with that whole stressful week, you take a minute, step back, be like, how did my eating habits affect my mental state and stuff like that. Remember to track water intake. We always talk people on this. Water intake, very important. Utilize online calorie counters like MyFitnessPal. I think that there's an app as well, but these apps have, you can type in pretty much any meal from any restaurant and they'll be like how many calories it was. So it'll make your job a lot easier. We don't want the calorie count to be this specifically stressful part, but writing down your assignments and writing down your items and then going back and filling out the calories, that's fine. Just make sure you're keeping up with that. And for the calorie counter as well, there's always a question of like, if it's like a homemade meal, then it's harder to do calorie counts. Yes. So we really want you to do your best to guesstimate based on what the ingredients were in the food, if that makes sense. Once again, if you have any questions, let us know. But homemade meals, do your best. Estimate how many eggs you ate and like proportions and stuff like that, and do your best to calculate that. And then in comparing to your target calorie intake, look back at lecture 2 to your estimated energy requirement calculation, which we should have had you do. You plug it into the formula, you fill out these specific values. I would use a scientific calculator. And then you can use those calories for every single day or adjust accordingly based on your activity levels for that day. Whew. And then see rubric for expected reflection questions and space of infinite possibility length. So basically what we're trying to say is that a paragraph is 5 to 7 quality sentences. We realized we haven't been totally clear on that in the weekly participation quizzes, but for this assignment, please do your best to write these quality sentences and for this length so that we don't have any problems there. And come to office hours for questions/clarification. We are generally there Wednesdays 6 to 8 in the Zoom, which should be on B courses. Otherwise, if you email us, we'll try to get back to you within 24, 48 hours. And that pretty much wraps things up. So once again, reach out to us if you have any questions or clarifications, and hope you all have a great week. See ya.